You grew up in Chicago,
Yeah.
and Chicago always had its violence and it's always had its gangs. But as Chief Keef came in, you suddenly saw the gang culture in the music because even though you make what I would consider gangster music, gangster rap to a certain degree, you weren't putting in black disciples, gangster disciples. Like you weren't like putting in gangs or even repping gangs in any of your music. Is that a fair assessment?
Close enough for what we're talking about. Close enough.
Yeah. But then came Chief Keef and the new breed of Chicago artists, and all that started to change.
No,
And
no, I don't. I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I would say since the beginning, it's always been gang banging in the music. If you go back and listen to all of our songs, because we all came up from the streets, so at some point in all of our songs, we would rep or bring up in some form or capacity something dealing with gangs, whether it was somebody that was in it or around it. But I think what happened with Chief Keef is technology. None of us could really get to the masses the way everybody else could. I used to say, when I used to come to New York or Cali, sometime I used to say, man, y'all could take a train to the record label. We got to take a plane to the record label. And that makes it that much more hard. So what happened is technology reached a point where you could open your laptop in your house, chilling in the living room or the kitchen, and just press a button, and there you are to the world. So I think in the Chief Keef era, what happened is he was one of the first artists to come out of Chicago and show you Chicago in a whole new light that you wouldn't have been able to see if it hadn't been for technology being able to reach homes the way it was. So with Chief Keef, it was like, now you get to see Chicago in the raw, the way it really is, not before it gets decorated on any level. By the time it gets up here, here it is in the raw.
well, I interviewed Swag De Niro, who is the brother of Lil Jojo.
Okay.
And he talked about how when Lil Jojo dropped BDK, he considers that was the song that kind of set off the war in Chicago. I mean, BDK came out in 2012. What happened when that song dropped?
Hood went crazy. Hood was going crazy. Everybody who's BDK was coming out the woodworks, like, we BDK too, Like the city was just dividing. Fast too, bro.
Right, and this was kind of one of the first kind of like banging on wax kind of songs to come out of Chicago. I mean, I'm sure it happened before, but this, I felt like it kind of took it to a different level.
This is the biggest banging on wax ever in history. Still.
Yeah. So the city started to go crazy over this.
Yeah. It just became like the street stuff started getting really infused with the music. You know what I'm saying? And like the music was influencing the streets too.
I mean, would you consider that an accurate assessment? That once that song came out, it started to really set things off?
I'm not sure. These guys was a whole different vibe and era from what I'm in. You would hear things, but I'm not really sure. One, I'm not sure. Two, Vlad, man, you know that I know enough by now not to sit here and go through intricate details about gang shit.
Yeah.
So even if I knew every detail, I would probably sit here and look at you with a straight face and say, damn, dog, I don't know.
No, I feel you. I feel you. And I'm not, I mean, for me, I want this shit to de-escalate. What I mean? I don't want to have situations where a person does a song and then you see a string of bodies after that song comes out, which you see way too often in these types of situations.
Yeah. And I think it's something that we got to stop in general because, like I said, my project is called, 96. You know what I'm saying? In that time, go back then, you had the same thing. Rappers were rapping about each other on records and getting killed. So I think it's a problem that didn't appear from a late situation. I think this is something that's always been going on with the younger generation, specifically rap, the guys get into it, and you have some public format that they're able to get into it with each other over, and they forget that it's entertainment and what platform we on, and then we put ourselves in dangerous situations. So I think it's a little bigger than that one. I think it started back then.